Hello, lads, ladies, and lovelies. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone is having a lovely day. Do bear with me. I am a little bit nervous. It has been a very, very long time since I've been in front of the camera. I mean, I have been in front of the camera before, but it's only to track my movements for VTuber model. But so not having actual my face on the camera, haven't had that for quite a bit. So I'm a little bit nervous. But yeah, I am back on the reading channel or book review channel, whatever kind of channel this is. So I am quite excited to get back into it. Again, quite slow. I am a very, very slow reader. You kind of already knew that. So, but yeah, I just received the news about the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation series. The fourth book came out. The fourth book. I thought it was going to be a trilogy like the Scum's Villain Self-Saving System, but clearly that wasn't the case. And then when I was Googling Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, there's a fifth volume available to pre-order on Amazon. So I was like, I need to really step up my game because I've only just to finish the second book. And that's what this video is going to be about, the second book. So I just to warn you, disclaimer, there's probably going to be spoilers of the first book. So if you haven't read that, go read it now. It is very, very good. I do highly recommend it. But yeah, other disclaimer, this book series is 17 plus. It does have gore. It does have fighting. It does have swearing, and it does have sex scenes. So just to bring that out there when it comes to Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. So, the second book, I'm just going to hold it up for a little bit because for the thumbnail. But yeah, the second book. And already I love the art. Lan Zhan and Wei Wuxian, absolutely beautiful, fabulous, being fabulous as always. But yeah, I took quite a different approach with this one. I was quite shocked by how the structure is kind of different. First off, if you haven't seen the first review, the review of the first book, I said that it was changing from past to present quite rapidly a little bit, and so because it was to focus more on the relationship between Lan Zhan and Wei Wuxian. In the first book, Wei Wuxian, it shows how Wei Wuxian and Lan Zhan met, and what their relationship was like in the past. It was very, 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 very rocky. They are completely different people. Wei Wuxian is more freer. He's more carefree. He's a more will play it by ear kind of person, while Lan Zhan is all about planning. He's all about being proper. He's all about being respectful. He's all about being always following the rules bit by bit. And the clan of Gusu had a lot of rules, but it does alternate between the past and the present to compare between their relationships in the first book. In the second book, however, it does alternates between past and present, but with different characters. The characters that are already dead. And what happens in this one, I will talk a bit more about it, is Wei Wuxian has a connection with dead people and to figure out what happened to them in the past, but through their eyes. It sounds confusing, but it makes the structure and the writing flow much nicer than the first one. The first book, it seems a bit jagged, but this one, it flows quite nicely. And another thing as well, there are only 3 chapters in this book, but in chapter 8 and chapter 10, it's a continuation from the first book. In chapter 8 and chapter 10, it splits into parts. Chapter 8 is a 4-parter, while chapter 10 is a 3-parter. So, which is quite nice to take a bit of a break. Because those are and the reason for that is because they are very, very, very intense chapters. And then there's chapter 9, which is like a break chapter, just to give Lan Shan and Wei Wuxian room to breathe, to hang out together. And it was quite a funny chapter, I will admit. But let me give you a bit of detail of the chapters. So chapter 8, so if you continue from from book 1, so Lan Shan and Wei Wuxian caught the dead arm, the big muscular dead arm that makes people turn into walking corpses. So we saw what the arm could do in the Mo estate, where Mo Zhanyu, the very first character, sacrifices his body for Wei Wuxian. So Wei Wuxian is in Mo Zhanyu's body. We should not forget that. I forget that sometimes. But I was like, who's Mo Zhanyu? Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. But yes, so they looked into the arm. The arm is exceedingly powerful. Like, it's full of resentful energy. It's very negative. It's very hateful. And it's a real battle to fight against this really big arm. It's so powerful. It took Lan Shan, it took his brother, it took most of the cultivators to try and get this arm to stop fighting. And then Wei Wuxian manages, with the help of Lan Shan and Lan Wangji. I don't know what you call him. He's under many names. This dude. There we go. This dude. So he's under a lot of names. I call him Lan Shan. That's what Wei Wuxian calls him. There's Wang Ji. That's his name. And Han Wangzhen, which is his respected name from the junior cultivator. So I don't know what you call him. I call him Lan Shan. So we're sticking with that. But Wei Wuxian and Lan Shan managed to put the arm under control. And what the arm did is that it points into the direction that it wants them to go. So they reckon that it's pointing to the direction of where its other body parts are. And so Wei Wuxian and Lan Shan is in their own adventure to figure out what has happened to the arm and where the body parts are, and decided to follow in the direction where the arm is pointing them. And that's where it ended in the first book, and it continues from there. On their direction, they hit a city called Yi City, which is full of a really resentful energy as well, and realizes that it's actually a really full of walking corpses. Everyone is scared to go to this city because they constantly hear tapping whenever they get close to this city. This tapping is very, very important, and it comes from probably the most underrated character in existence, in my humble opinion, but we'll go into a little detail about that. But people get really scared of going into this unknown city because it's full of fog, can't see, it feels so cold, they hear random tapping everywhere. And so Lan Shan and Wei Wuxian, as well as the other junior cultivators, Zishui, I can't remember the other one, it begins with J, and Jinling are there as well as with the other junior cultivators investigating what has happened to this city. They realize that they have found they realized that walking corpses was quite common in this city for long ago. But they also realize that there is danger happening, and the only way to save them from this danger is to be in someone's house. And so they went into a house and realizes that the fog is actually full of poison. How to explain it? It's full of kind of poison that slowly turns people into walking corpses. So it paralyzes them and slowly killing them. So once they go into a house, Wei Wuxian ends up making a remedy. Apparently it's really, really disgusting, and then be able to save people. But the only way for them to cooperate is for them to calm down and not stress. Otherwise, that's just going to quicker the process of them turning into walking corpses. Like, oh God. That's terrible. So during that process, they realized that they found the source of all this tapping. So they constantly hear tapping, and they found a teenage girl who is blind, but also cannot speak because or make any noise because she is missing a tongue, and she has a bamboo stick to help her where to go. And she has been tapping the bamboo stick constantly around the city. Again, this is very, very important. And so she has been clinging on to, and then now she's been clinging on to the junior cultivators and Wei Wuxian. And Wei Wuxian told the junior cultivators she is nothing to worry about. She is perfectly harmless. So she's not going to hurt us in any way. She may look scary. We know what dead angry women look like. They look very scary, but she's actually not going to do anything. And the more you see her, the more you realize that she's not really scary. So, and Wei Wuxian realized that the reason why she does all this tapping is to actually scare people away from the city, because it is actually dangerous, and she knows that it is very, very dangerous. So if she knew that she couldn't scare all these cultivators away, so she decided to help them, to try and help them figure out how to lift this curse that is before on this city. But the problem is she can't really communicate due to the fact of having no tongue. Yeah, it's very gruesome, very, very gruesome. So, and this is where the connection to the past comes into play. Wei Wuxian decided to bring this girl over and use empathy on her, but he is worried about using empathy on her because it allows him to, he wants to see what happened to her in the past, or what she sees in the past. So he can only see the past through the person that he's doing the empathy connection with. It's like the first person. It's through the first person perspective. And he's worried of doing that with her because she is blind. But when he did the empathy with her, he was surprised that she can see. So in her past, it turned out that she wasn't blind, or she had white pupils like Toph from The Last Airbender did, but she actually can see. She's not actually blind, but people see her and assume that she was blind. So she's using that as an advantage to get money, to get food, like pity presents essentially, in order to survive, because she is a homeless teenage girl who people think that she's blind. And they realize that, oh, she's actually really, really uncouth. You know, she has no problem speaking her mind. She has no problem insulting people as well. But yeah, we're learning a lot about this little girl. So she always has the bamboo stick. She always has the bamboo stick so that she could pretend to be blind from people who she wants them to give food and money to survive. I mean, she is a teenage homeless girl, so she was very, very cunning. She was very, very cunning. She was very, very clever, and she has no problem speaking her mind. And Wei Wuxian has a lot of respect for her. And when we're looking into her past, she met up with this very legendary, highly respected cultivator named, it will come to me, I cannot remember, but it's him. I know it begins with X, but unfortunately I can't remember the character's name, but this is him. And he was a legendary, high respected cultivator who is actually blind. As you can see, he has blindfold on and he's crying bloody tears, which is what he does when he gets very, very emotional about something that happened. And during their journey, they met up with a man who had injured his leg. And the problem is with this man who this cultivator is trying to help him is actually his arch enemy. The problem is that, and I do know his name. He's an absolute, cannot swear, absolute F, but his name is Xiang, and he is the arch enemy of this cultivator. But the cultivator, being blind, does not know this. He does not know he is helping his arch enemy. So the arch enemy did not tell him anything about himself, and even also changes his voice, hoping to get away with it. And he had for years. And Wei Wuxian thinks this is the most unluckiest shit. I can't swear. Most unluckiest thing that I have ever seen in my damn life. It's quite an unfortunate event. And the little girl pretended to be blind throughout the whole thing. So the murderer, Xiang, thought that she was blind too and can't see a damn thing. But actually, she's seeing all the things. She's seeing how mischievous and how cunning and how evil this man is. But she does not know how to approach this to the cultivator because not only is this going to, really hurt him really bad, but also is going to let out that she is not actually blind. He thought that he thinks that she's blind too, and Shui Yang does something exceedingly awful around Yi City. When they go out looking for walking corpses, do you know why the girl is missing a tongue? Yeah. So what Shui Yang does is that in order for the cultivator to kill a lot of people, he cuts off people's tongues. I'm cringy for saying this. He cuts off people's tongues so that it makes the cultivator think that they are walking corpses, because obviously without their tongues, they're probably gurgling blood, they can't speak, they're in absolute pain, they are groaning, but obviously the cultivator can't see, so he only hears all this and then kills them thinking they're walking corpses. How lovely. Absolutely lovely. And this has been going on for years, all because Shui Yang has a revenge, has a grudge on one person for cutting his pinky off, and he completely lost it and decided everyone should be dead. So great. So yeah, you can see why he's not a very, very nice person. Xiang, the teenage girl, that's her name, Xiang put all of this together and was like, nope, this is way too much, and went to tell the cultivator right now about everything that has happened. She told him that she wasn't blind. She can see what's going on. This is Xiang, his arch enemy. This is what he's done. He's done all this, and all because he wanted revenge, and then they end up being in a fight. And I am not going to say much of what happened at the end, but it did involve the girl losing her tongue as well as making her actually blind. So Wei Wuxian seen all this and in the right moment, Lan Shan decided to fight against the very person who is more involved with the curse of the Year City. Xiang is around. And the reason why the girl is very underrated, in my humble opinion, is because she does help in the fight. So Xiang is very, very difficult to beat. He doesn't have, it looked like he didn't have any weak points. So it's really, even Lan Shan, it's difficult for Lan Shan, the most well-known, precise fighter in with So what she does is that she goes around and then taps on the ground with her bamboo stick to tell Lan Shan when to stab and where to stab. I think that is exceedingly important, because instead of Lan Shan just fighting, he can hear and see this girl tapping the bamboo stick and show him when and where he can stab Xiang. So she was very, very clever. Even after death, she was very, very clever. And she was probably the only walking corpse that, despite the fact of her being murdered in the most disgusting way, she doesn't hold any revenge against anyone. She has no intention of actively killing anyone. That is Xiang's thing. Xiang is more of helping people. She purposefully scare people away from the city to protect them. I think that is commendable. I think she is incredible, and I'm glad that it's started off quite happily for her. It's quite bittersweet, but quite happily. Then after all that situation, chapter 9. Chapter 9 is a break chapter. It doesn't split into parts. It's a break chapter. Everyone is relaxing from the intensity of what happened in Year City, and it really does focus on the relationship between Wei Wuxian and Lan Shan. So it's like a break for them, a break for us, so that we see their relationship develop. And once their relationship develop, we're starting to understand what's going on behind the ribbon that the clan of Gusu wear on their head. So they wear a white band with clouds on. And if you read the first book shows Wei Wuxian taking off that headband off Lan Shan, and Lan Shan just responded very, very furiously, because of this. It holds a very specific meaning, and I'm not going to say it. You're going to have to read it. Then so everyone had drinks, everyone had food, everyone had a break. We've had a break as well. And so we move on to another intense chapter, chapter 10. Chapter 10 is a 3-parter, and this is where we focus more on the Jin clan. This is where Jinling This is where Jinling comes from, as well as his father came from. So we end up going to meet the leader of the Jin clan, who is Jinling's uncle. So because of his parents, he has 2 uncles from 2 different clans. He has the leader of the Xiang clan is his uncle. He's his mother's brother, and the leader of the Jin clan is his brother's Jinling's father's half brother. I am getting the families confused. It's a confusing family. His family goes into a lot of depth in that, and you do learn that in chapter 10. And there is a thing as well. And this is where I completely forgot that Wei Wuxian is in Mo Zhanyu's body. And the thing is, Wei Wuxian forgot as well. So when we go in, Wei Wuxian wasn't presented as Wei Wuxian. He was presented as Mo Zhanyu. So when he thanked the servant for the tea, the servant got scared and ran away. And he's like, why? What happened? What did I do? And then he realized. And then Jinling comes, who thinks he's Mo Zhanyu, and says, this is why you're not supposed to come here. This is why you're not supposed to come here, you madman. And it's like, oh, Mo Zhanyu came from Jin clan. His family in the Jin clan. And he was known for having a lot of feelings for the leader of Jin clan, and people were not, and then like really madding things. Apparently, I can't. It didn't really specify what Mo Zhanyu has done apart from falling in love with the leader of the Jin clan, and so people did not take that very lightly, and that's why he got kicked out of the Jin clan, and now people are looking at Wei Wuxian with concern, wondering what he's gonna do. So it didn't really specify what he actually done, except for falling in love with Jin clan, the leader of the Jin clan. So we don't know what he did. Maybe falling in love with him is what makes him man. I don't particularly know. But the thing is, it did really boil down to their families, because I decided to look more into Mo Zhanyu's family, and it turned out that Mo Zhanyu is actually the half brother of the leader of the Jin clan as well. So that's probably why. But the thing is, we don't know if Mo Zhanyu knew this. Yeah, so the reason why the leader of the Jin clan has so many half brothers is because his father likes to go around a lot. To go around a lot, and this is exceedingly important when it comes to the family. So when it comes to his family, it ended up being very, very important, and it ended up becoming his motive of why he wanted to do things the way he do. But I'm not going to say what he did, apart from the fact that it really did. Apart from the fact that, okay, I'm going to start over. It's starting to get very confusing. The leader of the Jin clan is married. He is married to a lovely girl named Qin Su. Also, the leader of Jin clan, I might as well say his name, Jin Guanyao. I don't know if people knew who he was, but Jin Guanyao, he's very, very important. And so is Qin Su, his wife. A little bit, and Lanshan and Wei Wuxian realizes this is the direction that the arm was pointing towards in the Golden Tower. so they're in the Golden Tower, and they decided to investigate the Golden Tower to see what is going on. And so and Wei Wuxian disguises himself as a piece of paper. He can do that. Papers is his technique. So he turned himself into a piece of paper to look around the Golden Tower to see Qing Su, the wife, reading a letter. And it made her absolutely horrified. Absolutely horrified. Like, she was having various mental breakdowns. She was vomiting. She was crying. And then Guan Yao saw this, having a breakdown. She doesn't want to go anywhere near him. And then he read the letter himself, and everything is like falls into pieces. And he did something, I was so confused. He did something that made her not move and carried her into a secret room. Now, this isn't big news. Apparently, secret rooms for leader cultivators is always been the thing. Every clan leader always has like secret rooms. It's what's in it that was a bit disturbing. And so I'm not going to say that what's in it, but there is one thing that did cause. But when Wei Wuxian sneaked in, there is one object that was exceedingly important. And let's just say he can cast empathy on it to figure out what's happened. And that is all I am going to say. So yes, Jin Guanyao's family extends a lot thanks to his father, and it causes probably his half relatives to realize that they did not realize that they were related. Probably same goes for Mo Zhanyu, but also same for the other person, if that makes sense. I hope I didn't spoil too much. But yes, there is a lot of the details, a lot to talk about when it comes to these chapters. But I do hope that you read them. I do hope you read it. It ended up being very good. And thanks to the empathy, I would feel like it did make the structure and the flow of the writing much easier between the past and the present. As I said in the first book, it was a bit zigzaggy, but this one, it flows much nicer. And I really like that it splits the chapters are split into parts as well. That was really, really nice. The chapters are very, very long, and I do lose focus quite easily. So having the chapters split into parts, but also keep in line with one chapter for one particular story is very, 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 very useful. The other thing I do wish for, I do wish that in the first chapter, there are a lot of other junior cultivators, which I don't particularly get. I would be perfectly with Zishui, his friend, and Jinling. It would have been fine with the other three because it would give them space to have some character progression, definitely. But that's the only gripe I have with the 8th chapter. There were too many cultivators to talking all at once, and I feel like that the more cultivators there were, the less interested I was, because it's not really giving the main junior cultivators much breathing room to have some character progression, particularly for the fact that it did involve one of the main junior cultivators. I feel like there would have been some progression from there. However, it did make up for it in chapter 10, where there was character progression for Jin Ling a little bit. Now, poor Jin Ling is a little bit tragic. He did not have parents. His parents died very, very young, when he was like 1 year old. Two of his uncles practically raised him, but the problem is both of them have very different ideologies, so very different ways of seeing life. So he's a little bit confused, and he's probably been considered spoiled throughout his whole life because his uncles are both leaders of their own clan, as well as as his parents being very well respected. So he's always constantly alone, and Wei Wuxian did see that and is willing to help him, as particularly for the fact that in first book he realized who his parents were and decided to help him. But it made up for it for Jinling having character progression a little bit. It was a bad character progression, not bad as in it's terrible, bad as in that he's kind of seeing Wei Wuxian way worse than originally. Yeah, it was a really good character progression, but I do hope to see character progression in Zishui and his friend as well. We're seeing some character progression in Lanshan. He's much more open, he's much more looser a little bit, which really did shock Wei Wuxian. And Wei Wuxian is just the same. He's just a carefree, spirited, easygoing, and going through life playing by ear kind of guy. Like, people are pretty, like, everyone around him, particularly people from the clan of Gusu, are really confused by his character. But I do hope to see some progression of the relationship between Lanshan and Wei Wuxian. I'm starting reading book 3 already, and it's already hitting the past of what happened already. So, but hopefully we see some progression. So, see what happened of their relationship. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and also looking forward to book 4. So that was a really, really nice surprise. I wasn't expecting book 4. I wasn't expecting book 5 actually in this series. So I don't know when that is going to happen. But yeah. That is all I have to say about this book. I do hope I haven't spoiled much, and I do hope that you would be able to find the book and read it. I will put the Amazon affiliation link in the description. But yeah, thank you ever so much for joining me in my book review. I do hope you very much enjoyed it. But yeah, do let me know if I spoiled anything. I'm never sure if I spoiled or unspoiled things, if that makes sense. But yes, do take care. Do have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will try my best to finish the 3rd book, as I say. They're very long, with very long chapters. But I will try my best, because what I want to do is I want to finish this series, then take a break from this author to read a standalone book as a break, and then read another series that she had done. I have yet to finish Scum's Villains of Self-Saving System, but what I'm going to do is I might reread the first book and then continue into that series. And then there's Heaven's Official Blessing as well, which I've yet to read. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish the series, take a break by reading another book or book series or whatever, and then continue the books with these from this author, who's written by the same author, and because I really do enjoy her work. Very, very imaginative, always puts you at the edge of the seat, constant twists, making you care about minor characters that you didn't think that you would care about, like Xiang, and constantly wants to read more. I've already started reading the 3rd book, and I am looking forward to what's what's more to come. So yeah, thank you ever so much for joining me in my video. I almost said stream, video. If you do like this video, do give a like and a subscribe. I very much appreciate you, lovelies. But yeah, do take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And I hopefully to see you guys soon. Do take care. Bye-bye.